So this is going to be a bit different than my usual videos because I'm going entirely unscripted in front of a microphone, because that'll go well. But I'm also face to face rather than hiding behind some sort of game. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm doing a video about my influences. And other than the occasional picture of said influence coming up on the screen, it's just going to be us talking, or me talking at you. So that'll be fun. Let's see how this goes. Stan Laurel of Laurel and Hardy fame is my first influence. I'm doing this in chronological order. Stan was one of those early entertainers from Britain who went over on the boat to America to make themselves famous in the silent movie era, you know, when there was no sound and everything was physical. All the comedy had to sort of be physical to really sort of stand out. And, you know, he made a career, sort of, with the help of Oliver Hardy. You know, he probably wouldn't have done that well on his own. He transitioned into sound, and it was something that a lot of those silent stars couldn't do. But Stan's mind was just tremendous. His ability to write dialogue and scenes and so on, just way ahead of its time. Like decades ahead of its time, and he rightly became a superstar. And I remember my papa showing me all these videos of these two funny men in hats falling over, and I didn't realize at the time that this was like from the 1930s. You know, this was pre-World War II. It was like this time that just I didn't think existed, and it blew me away. Second influence is Jackie Gleason. In the 50s, band leader / comedian / entertainer Jackie Gleason came up with the idea of being this tough-talking, put-upon bus driver who's his own worst enemy in a series called The Honeymooners, which was originally just a skit thing for his show, the Jackie Gleason Show, but became its own sort of thing. And little did he realise, I think, just how influential he'd become. Because the legacy of The Honeymooners is, you know, anyone who basically says, oh, I was influenced by Family Guy or The Simpsons or whatever. Yeah, you were influenced by The Honeymooners and you don't realise it. The Honeymooners influenced the Flintstones, The Simpsons and Family Guy. All three of them took, you know, from that idea of this big bumbling oaf with anger issues that, you know, would get himself into all kinds of scrapes. It just really sort of hit the spot for me to see something like that broadcast in this kind of, you know, the era of the 50s where sitcoms were kind of really smulchy and, you know, heartfelt, and just to see this rough sort of fella going around and going, pow, right to the moon was his catchphrase. I'm going to beat my wife if she keeps acting up, kind of thing. And you're like, wow, okay, wasn't expecting that. George Carlin, or as he's known latter day as angry old man who rants about things, you know, prior to his passing. His earlier work was controversial. You know, there's skits like, you know, things you can't say on TV, and his stand-up stuff, just remarkable. Really acerbic and witty and angry, but also very intelligent. He was a great sort of reader of people, a great reader of a crowd, and he knew how to make observations that everyone would just sort of nod at, but at the same time they were being, you know, criticised. The audience was his enemy, you know? He hated people. Well, his persona hated people. Mike Nelson, probably the biggest influence of a lot of them. Mike Nelson was a writer on a series called Mystery Science Theater 3000. They would take a film and they would react to it. Now, I know react videos are commonplace now, but they did it back in the 80s before it was cool. They'd take a movie and they'd crack wise over the top of it. And some of it was improv, which is what I do essentially, you know, with my DOS game show. But a lot of it was written. One of the principal sort of things that brought me to creating the Random DOS game show in the first place. Ryan Stiles and Colin Mockery, for obvious reasons. They're improv comedians who struck it big with TV deals, with Whose Line Is It Anyway, and then the US version which propelled them to superstardom. Just the ability to, off the top of your head, come up with something really funny and really interesting that grabs people just resonated with me. I like the idea of being able to think on your feet and being able to creatively just come up with something incisive to make people laugh. Ben Croshaw. Many years ago, my good brother sent me a video and said, "Look at this guy! He reviews games and he swears a lot." And it was my first exposure to the idea that you could go on the internet, talk about video games, and be taken seriously. Mike Stoklasa and the Red Letter Media team. These guys have an exceedingly dry wit. And there's also a lot of off-the-cuff, or seemingly off-the-cuff banter. And it's that combined with the general malaise towards modern entertainment, the way they're able to deconstruct what's being put in front of them by modern media. So that's my influences. Feel free to shout in the comments box if you enjoyed this kind of off-the-cuff video of my face. If you want to see more, let me know. I might do it. Who knows? Stranger things have happened. Cheerio.